Movie and book Faramir are completely different characters. In the books, he says, quote, "I would not take this ring if it lay by the highway." But in the movie,
"The ring of power within my grasp."
No! This isn't a small tweak. It's a drastic alteration to the character Tolkien claimed he most identified with. The filmmakers changed Faramir to make him more relatable to a broad audience.
Now that's a journey, that's a story, that's something that people can relate to.
We'll discover why their reasoning was at least partially misguided, but they're not wrong to say that Faramir is distant. There's something uncanny about him in the books. Tolkien describes almost discovering the character more than writing him, saying, quote, "A new character has come on the scene. I am sure I did not invent him. I did not even want him, though I like him. But there he came, walking into the woods of Ithilien, Faramir, the brother of Boromir." Tolkien wove Faramir's mystical quality into the story itself, with Sam Gamgee saying that he, quote, "has an air that reminds me of Gandalf, of wizards." Faramir has an almost supernatural power of perception. With a gaze reminiscent of Galadriel, Faramir could, quote, "read the hearts of men shrewdly." But what he read moved him sooner to pity than to scorn. And one of the first things the movie strips away is this wizardly power of perception. Scorning Frodo rather than pitying him, Faramir is reframed to align with the movie's darker view of humanity.
Men are weak. The race of men is failing.
Where book Faramir would, quote, "not snare even an orc with a falsehood," his movie counterpart embraces an ends justify the means mindset, following in his brother's footsteps.
"Give Gondor the weapon of the enemy."
The ring will go to Gondor.
The filmmakers viewed this as a necessary change, with Faramir's actor David Wenham saying,
"There is no journey as such in the book because Faramir doesn't change. Essentially, he's the same the first time you meet him as to the last time you see him in the story."
And that might sound like a good idea, but the best character arcs are unique, and the movies sometimes struggle with that. Peter Jackson's trilogy often adds moments of drama that don't change the story in any meaningful way. Like Aragorn's fake-out death in The Two Towers, Frodo sending Sam away, and Arwen's life weirdly being tied to the ring. After the momentary tension wears off, all of these plot points are quickly resolved without meaningful consequences. The filmmakers wanted to elevate Faramir into a more unique, three-dimensionalized character, but by forcing him into this well-worn pattern, movie Faramir ironically becomes less distinct. It actually validates his father's opinion of him as nothing more than a bargain brand Boromir. But even more ironically, the filmmakers didn't recognize that Faramir was already relatable. Their changes were based on the false assumption that audiences only identify with characters who succumb to temptation. But Faramir's success is as much a part of the human experience as Boromir's failure.
Men are weak.
Rude. You're not wrong, but it's complicated. In the book, Faramir's resistance isn't simple or without tension. It builds to a moment of real suspense. As he discovers the ring, the hobbits fear for their lives and, quote, sprang up from their stools and set themselves side by side with their backs to the wall, fumbling for their sword hilts. Compare this direct quote from the book to screenwriter Philippa Boyens' C- summary of it.
You don't have your two main characters captured by a guy who kind of seemingly interrogates them, but not really, who then offers them a cup of tea and says, well, I'll do anything to help you. I mean, you've just stripped the ring of all power.
It's a shame Boyens sees this moment as either a cheapening of the ring's power or as Faramir displaying some inhuman moral superiority, because he actually resists the ring through a deeply human principle. Quote, "I am wise enough to know that there are some perils from which a man must flee." Tolkien scholar Tom Shippey compares the ring's corruptive power to addiction, saying, quote, "A wise person is capable of stifling the desire to become addicted, though no wisdom will stifle addiction once contracted." It's like booze. The surest way to avoid becoming an alcoholic is to never take the first sip. Faramir himself dismisses claims of moral superiority, saying, quote, "There was naught in my decision to praise. I had no lure or desire to do other than I have done." Just as hobbits are resistant to the ring because they lack ambition to dominate others, Tolkien describes Faramir as being, quote, "gentle in bearing, and a lover of lore and of music. His courage was judged less than his brothers. But it was not so, except that he did not seek glory in danger without a purpose." Setting aside the irony that Faramir was misunderstood both by the filmmakers and his own people, Tolkien's commentary carries extra weight given his statement that, quote, "As far as any character is like me, it is Faramir, except that I lack what all my characters possess," let the psychoanalyst note, "courage." Faramir's most famous quote offers a key, not just to his character, but to the larger difference between Tolkien's world and the movie adaptations. He tells Frodo that, quote, "I do not love the bright sword for its sharpness, nor the warrior for his glory. I love only that which they defend." Faramir doesn't reject violence, he rejects glorifying violence. He values purpose over spectacle, which is exactly what the movies are sometimes criticized for getting wrong. A common gripe is that Peter Jackson's trilogy overemphasizes action. In other words, loving the sword for its sharpness and the warrior for his glory. Tolkien's son Christopher notoriously complained that the movies, quote, "gutted the book, making an action film for 15 to 25-year-olds. I disagree. But while it's easy to write off book purists as snobs, I think they might have a point when it comes to this. Because if Tolkien watched the movies, he'd probably have a hard time seeing himself in this Faramir. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing.